Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Our guest today is Leonard Scheiner. Let's talk about PR and marketing and all of that good stuff. Welcome to the show, Leonard.
Thank you, Alicia. Nice to be here.
Let's start by talking a little bit about what you got going on with your business. We have so many guests that are doing awesome things. You do awesome things. Let's talk about your awesome thing for a moment so that our listeners have a little bit of a background for who this guy is that we're going to be listening to for the next 20 or so minutes.
Wow. Well, thanks for setting that stage. Appreciate it. I run a PR and marketing agency based out of Los Angeles called Geek Haus, and we help our clients who are professionals look better online. So are we a marketing agency? Are we a branding agency? Are we a digital agency? Are we PR? Yes, to all of it. What we like to do is take a professional, whether that's a lawyer, mostly lawyers, doctors, professional consultants, meaning, they've got a subject matter expertise, and we make them look like an expert online, because there's a lot of experts who actually don't look like an expert online. Surprise.
Let's start there. This is something that is a foundational part of business. How you show up, how you appear to a prospect. We know that it's not so much about, are they consuming all of your content on social media necessarily? It's about the image, it's about the trust, it's about the credibility. A lot of business owners are missing really key pieces of that image. And it is unfortunate because we are judged on that image. I remember when I was going through school to become a hypnotherapist, they're like, you've got to have all of your degrees up on the wall. You have to make sure that you're dressing the part, because people have these biases. They have these ideas in their mind. And even if it's completely nonsensical, completely irrational, that's who we are as human beings. So from your perspective, doing the work that you do, maybe you can touch on what a lot of people are missing, what they really should not be missing, what you're seeing in the work that you do with your clients.
One of the things that I always like to point out is that when you're an expert, you're a business. And just like any brick and mortar business, they have a website, they have a Google My Business page, they're set up. And so when you're a consultant, you get to treat yourself as a business of one. And oftentimes that's really the foundational shift of, oh, I'm not just, Dennis, or I'm not just Mary. No, I'm more than that, right? I'm Mary Smith, PhD, whatever. Like, there's more to you. And so you see this when doctors brand themselves, right? It's not just, oh, Bob the doctor. It's Robert J. Smith, MD, FAC, but there's more to it, right? And so it becomes more substantial. When you do that, when you put down the 4 stakes of your sandbox, now you can go to play, because people know how to identify you. People know, in this world, we don't like labels, but in business, we need labels because it helps us search for what we want, get the clients that we want. So that's really a foundational step that is really where we start with the experts who have no online presence. Now, if you are an expert, you probably have some online presence. So you might have a website. But if that website doesn't have a phone number, if that website doesn't have an email, if that website doesn't have an address, even if it's a virtual address, there are certain things that we want to make sure that the expert has when someone looks them up online. And oftentimes it's just being too close to the work, right? We don't know what we don't know. And so if you're an expert in, let's say, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? You're an expert in that. You're not an expert at building an expert brand, right? You might be an expert like a doctor, right? You might be a spine surgeon. You are definitely an expert at that, but you're not an expert at making your website searchable or something of that sort. So we bring the digital strategy, that footprint, the digital footprint side of things to the people who are experts. And to be honest, most of them are baby boomer type era because it's not natural, right? If you were a millennial or someone younger, you grew up with a phone kind of in your hand when you were born. But when we're taking on clients, most of them are, 40 years old and above, usually a little bit more, but kind of at the baseline, we're at probably 40 years old. So it's just enough where it's foreign. And so taking the actions to do it yourself is a little bit problematic. If they knew how to do it and what to do, they would just do it. But if you've been trying to do this for, let's say, a year, and you've not made any profound or meaningful movement forward, I'd say it's time to look for a coach, a professional, someone who can help you with that.
I want to talk a bit about how PR plays into the whole grand scheme of marketing yourself and building that notoriety and that credibility and really just getting seen. Let's talk a bit about that, because people often hear of PR, but they might just think, oh, that's a press release. Unless they have really big goals, like getting, Oprah doesn't have her show anymore. I don't think. Maybe now the hot thing is Ellen or something. I'm not in that game at all. But let's talk a bit about that, from the perspective of the expert and how it fits in.
So when you're an expert, what makes you an expert? Is it the degree? Is it your testimonials? Is it what really is the nail in the coffin that solidifies you as an expert? If you asked me that question when I started on this journey 15 years ago, I would say it would be a published book. And that is still true, but now we're in the modern world. And so when we're looking at what is credibility, a book is part of it. There's not just one leg that a chair stands on, but press and being featured as an expert in the media is really what kicks us into hyperdrive when we're looking at building that credibility. You can publish a book, you can have great reviews online, you can have a website set up, you can have a professional email, you can have white papers, you can have all this great stuff. And that could be enough to get you business and you could be fine. But what's going to take you to the next level? What's going to make you probably twice a week with clients that I'm consulting with, because most of the time, 80% of our clients are attorneys. And so when you're looking at a PI attorney, a personal injury attorney, or a divorce attorney, or a bankruptcy attorney, or any type of attorney, you're looking at attorney A and attorney B. And if you're not skilled at deciphering the nuances between a practice area here and a practice area there, they're all going to look the same, right? Vanilla pudding looks like vanilla pudding looks like vanilla pudding, unless you're vegan like myself and you have to make sure it's non-dairy vegan pudding, right? So from a cursory view, everyone looks the same at some level. And so how do we get you as the expert to stand out? The quickest way is to be featured in the press. And what that takes is having a strategy, having a message, having a story, and that's all the stuff that exists, but probably you haven't created it yet. And what I mean by that is it exists. You know your stuff, you know your story, but someone like me or someone like my team is going to take that from you and extract the little bits that we need to make a well-rounded story and then pitch that to the media so that your best assets and advice is what people are picking up on versus you look like everyone else from the competitor list.
I love it. And everything that you just shared is all pieces, right? It's like pieces, ingredients, if you will. Ingredients in
very true
the recipe of your thriving business. So it is a great opportunity for those listening who maybe are missing some of those ingredients to say, what else is possible here? how can I take myself to that next level? What type of professional do I need, like, yourself, who can help extract some of those pieces, point out where perhaps there are missing pieces, or maybe some of the pieces, the ingredients that you have are not so great.
We need the right ingredients in the right measurements. It's just like baking, right? If you have too much baking soda, it's not going to work. If you have too little baking soda, it's not going to work.
Let's segue into mindset. I think this is the perfect opportunity to segue into mindset. The mindset of your clients. I love having this conversation. Anyone who is in any type of business, really, but especially if you are in the trenches and you are providing a service, you are head to head with your clients' limiting beliefs, the very beliefs that they need to shift in order to really get some momentum and some positive traction. What is the silly stuff that you are seeing your clients bumping up against? What are their objections? What are their obstacles? What are their fears? I'm just curious, what is the common theme that you're seeing with your clients?
And are you talking about their limiting beliefs in doing PR or doing marketing in themselves, or is it
Yes.
okay?
Yeah. So the stuff that is sort of their tripping point when it comes to just embracing this process with getting the PR and getting their marketing dialed in.
I would say one of the aspects is a marketing strategy, which most business owners have done before or they've thought about. A marketing strategy is different than a PR strategy. The PR might wrap up into the bigger marketing strategy, but when we're looking at getting PR, the saying that all PR is, or all press is good press, is true. And some of the clients, they want to go have their first feature be in the Wall Street Journal or New York Times. And I really effort to throttle that expectation because it's just not reality most of the time. Now, have I had a client come and we launched their website and 14 days later they're on a top tier? Yeah, we've had it happen, but that is not the typical. So I want to throttle that expectation because I don't want them to be upset or have a lack of trust in us as a service provider, right? So that's a bit of mindset. But to answer your question directly, what are they facing when with their beliefs? It's about being an expert. And it's funny when you put a microphone in someone's face and you ask them to talk about what they're an expert in, and then they have nothing to say. Or they have something to say, but it's because typically attorneys are strong personality. They have a significant level of confidence. But even in that market, I had someone say before, I'll do written interviews or I'll do, interviews with a reporter, but I don't want to do TV because I'm shy. And I was like, wow, okay, that's the first time I've heard that. So that was something that we got to work with about having that person become more confident on camera, which really was like a 90-day process where they did written press first. They got their sea legs and they were able to do enough of that so that when they were ready or had the opportunity to go on TV, they were ready. They weren't stumbling over the words, the messaging was good, and they had a really successful placement there.
So hopefully that conveyed for everyone else. I noticed my internet connection just went a little wacky there, and so part of what you said cut out for me. I'm hoping that everybody else was able to hear the whole thing, because what I caught there is such a common mindset issue. you hear it referred to as imposter syndrome, and you hear it referred to as confidence issues. Really, what we're talking about here is there's some belief that we have that we're not good enough, or we're not smart enough, or we're not attractive enough, or whatever the not enoughness is. And we have to sort of prove to our mind, no, really, this is we're good. We've got this. I've got this. I can do this.
And this is why if someone tries to do press or PR on their own, they can be successful. But sometimes an outside perspective will look at their body of work, and you're perfect as you are. You don't have to do anything else. We just need to look at you from the right angle and then position that. So it takes an outside person often to be able to position you the best.
That's why we have coaches and mentors. That's why we hire experts, because like you said earlier, we're not an expert at everything. And when it comes to our internal stuff, sometimes we're even more blind than we are the external stuff. You can see that I should have more PR. I should have the as seen in on my website, but your own fears that are your obstacle to taking that step and getting that attention is something that in many cases you do need that outside perspective to say, what's going on here? What was a real story?
And there's also the other side. It's the other side when you are dealing with an expert, so they're paid to have an answer, right? And so that person is going to say, I want to do PR and I want to be in the media, and great, this is how we're going to do it. And my job is to say, whoa, 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 whoa. I love that you're so excited about the strategy. Let's not discount the passion, but let's make sure that we're doing a strategy that's going to work. And one client said that they really appreciated how I would disagree and commit. And I never heard that phrase before. And what that means is disagree about the strategy, right? You've got your thought, I've got my thought. Okay, fantastic. But disagree and commit. So once the decision has been made, we're fully committed. And we had that happen with the client where he wanted to run his own strategy of how he thought it would work. And we got okay results. But that laid the groundwork for me to then provide the advice to say, why don't we try it a different way? And then we got tremendous results. And so I was able to demonstrate how, even though you're an expert in what you do, you're not an expert in this. You wouldn't hire a brain doctor to do your foot surgery. We need an expert who's an expert in what you're doing.
Love it. So this is the perfect opportunity for you to share with our listeners how they can connect with you.
Fantastic. They are welcome, if you're listening right now, to go to our website, and we can be found at gogeekhaus.com. That's go, G-O, geek, G-E-E-K, and then house, we spell a little bit different. It's H-A-U-S. So putting it all together, gogeekhaus.com.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much, Leonard, for being with us today. Planted some really valuable seeds, and I'm hoping that our listeners really take this to heart, because these are pieces, like we talked about, these ingredients that are so valuable to create a thriving business.
It was a pleasure being here today. Thanks, Alicia.
And thank you to all of our listeners. You know we're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.